Good morning. Sorry for our little break in walking with Pastor Keith. I've just had some stuff going on in the mornings and haven't been able to record these videos. And afternoons when I've been walking, and to be honest, I'm such a sweaty mess on these hot Texas afternoons. I didn't want to do a video during that time. So listen, I want to continue a thought I started last time about hearing the voice of God. You know, sometimes I hear people say, well, you know, God told me this or God told me that. And I just want to say, you know, does God ever have anything nice to say to you? Because it seems like whatever they're hearing is just full of condemnation. I think what they're listening to is their inner critic and not the voice of God. So how can we tell the difference between how we talk to ourselves versus how God talks to us? Well, there's several things. I mean, one, the voice of God enlightens you. Your inner voice will often confuse you because you're still trying to figure things out. The voice of God will encourage you, whereas you yourself, you might actually be prone to discouraging yourself and remind you of yourself of all the problems instead of the possibilities. God's voice is going to comfort you, whereas your voice will tend to worry you, increase your anxiety. And probably most of all, God's voice convicts, but God's voice does not condemn. When you find yourself full of condemnation, just know that's you talking to you. That's not the voice of God. God will convict of sin, but that's very different from being condemned. You know, the Bible says that his ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not like our thoughts. So we should expect the voice of God to be in a category all to itself. The Bible also tells us that the wisdom that comes from above is peaceable, and it says it's full of gentleness. So again, these things should characterize the voice of God. So 5 simple principles in terms of discerning the voice of God and his messages. Number 1, they're short. They tend to be single sentences, something that's not characteristic of us. We tend to be verbose and we use a lot of words. And if God used a lot of words, we probably have a tendency to overthink them. So God's messages tend to be short. Secondly, they're surprising. And they're surprising for the reasons I was mentioning. They don't sound the way we talk to ourselves. So they kind of catch us off guard. It's a message that is very different from the way we talk to ourselves. And third, they make sense. And what I mean by that is when I get a message from God, it tends to sync up with whatever I'm dealing with in the moment, whatever anxiety or fear I'm trying to overcome, whatever comfort I'm seeking, whatever direction that I feel desperate for. I get this message and it just fits. And then also they're to the point. They don't ramble on. They're just direct to the point. Here's the deal. They're the messages that sound like Jesus. If you pay attention to Jesus' voice in the Gospels, well, God's voice sounds very much the same. And then fifth, they leave their mark. And what I mean by that is you tend to remember the messages from God. So I'm not a message a minute kind of guy. I don't get messages from God all the time. I get messages from God when I need them. And when I get them, I pay serious attention to them. So learn to tell the difference between how you talk to you versus God talks to you, because the message that comes from above is going to be so clear, so needed, so different from the way you talk to you, that it'll have a lasting impact, and you're going to keep it and hold on to it throughout the day and throughout the rest of your life. God bless, and I'll see you again real soon.